It's here, week 1 of the 2023 NFL preseason. Buy or sell the hype. Jordan Addison, wide receiver 2 for the Minnesota Vikings. He's been tearing up camp. How do we feel? We'll tell you next on the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Let's get locked in. Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your boy, Damian Parson, always on the ones and twos. You can find and follow me on Twitter at DP_NFL. They also call it X now, so it doesn't really matter, either one. I'm a national scout over with the Draft Network, as well as the host of the Locked On Clemson podcast. And, guys, as always, man, thank y'all for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day, Monday through Friday, being the family, but our everydayers, man. We appreciate all the love and support. It's football season, and I can't talk football fully without my guy, Mr. LSU, Keith Sanchez. You can find and follow him on Twitter or X at The Talent Code. Keith, talk to him, baby.
What's up, Locked On family? This is Keith Sanchez, senior draft analyst with the Draft Network, man, and 2019 national champ with those LSU Bengal Tigers, right? But, man, when you know why we're here, right? Myself, Damian Parsons, we are here to bring you that championship-level content surrounding the NFL Draft 24/7, 365. Like we always say, we don't stop. And shout out to our everydayers, man, for tapping in with us, because y'all don't stop either, right? But, man, we got a really good show today, DP, man. We're talking about these rookies, right? These rookies that are in positions that are making impact plays in training camp, right? Or they need to be in position to where they can change some things for a team, right? So with the lineup, DP, we talking a little Jordan Addison, right? With him with the Minnesota Vikings. We're talking Treylon Burks, right? With him possibly being, is he the number 1 or the number 2 with D-Hop there? And then the impact player, Mazi Smith, for those Dallas Cowboys that need a run-stopping defensive tackle, right? What type of impact can he make with DP? Let's kick this thing off first, man. Let's start at the top. Let's start with Jordan Addison. Are you buying into the hype of Jordan Addison and what he will be with the Minnesota Vikings? And first of all, I kind of want to set the parameters, right? Because we can't say buy if we don't put a price on it. The price is a highly productive. I'm talking 70, 75 catches per this season, right? With somewhere between 7 and 8 touchdowns, right? Are you buying the hype that this will be a productive rookie in the NFL season this year?
I am, because I'm buying the hype on Jordan Addison in this offense, because he, unlike at USC, he's not going to be the guy. You know what I mean? It's not a knock to him, but it makes his path to success that much easier. Where at USC, teams are trying to bracket and double team and put the best corner on them. When you walk on the field with Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson, teams can't throw a star corner on you unless they got 2, right? They're the Dallas Cowboys. They can throw either Gilmore or Diggs, right? But not every team has 2 legitimate starting corners that you feel I can put one-on-one on 2 top-tier type of receivers. So you know that the coverage is going to be swayed and levied, right? The momentum is going to be shifted towards Justin Jefferson. And then in the middle of the field, you got to pay attention to TJ Hawkinson, because he is a really good tight end and can make those plays, as we saw post-trade going from the Lions to the Minnesota Vikings in Kevin O'Connell's offense. So what does that mean? That means Jordan Addison has a chance to be the wide receiver 2, but possibly target 3 in terms of the pecking order or priority list for defenses. And then also with his ability to be kind of the movement guy, right? The motions, the orbits, throw him in, you could play him, start him out wide, then motion him down to a stack formation, put him in the slot. You could do a lot of different things in terms of giving him free release, because, that was the biggest knock we had on him was, man, he wasn't physical. He wasn't the strongest guy. He struggled versus press man coverage. Guys that could be physical, get their hands on, reroute him, and throw off timing. But what do you do with that? You keep him off ball. The Cooper Kupp syndrome. You keep him off the ball. You can't touch my guy, right? You MC Hammer him. Can't touch this. And that's what you do, right? Like, you put him in that type of position. So, yeah, I am buying the hype, because, like I said, seeing some of the clips, man, from camp and reading some of the reports and just seeing what he's able to do, 101s, team drills, and seeing also the movement they've been doing with him, right? Like in some of these clips, having them come pre-snap right before the snap, get them wide open and clear to attack a DB. And Keith, as you know, as a former DB coach, man, there's nothing DBs hate more than having a guy run full speed at them and you can't impede their progress. You can't impede their momentum working upfield. So I'm going to say, yes, I'm buying the hype. I think he can be a 70, 75 catch, 7 to 8 touchdowns, 100 yards receiver in this offense. No Dalvin Cook either. We got to remember that in that backfield is what Alexander Mattison as the lead back. I think that they could be in a position where they're throwing the ball more than they ran it in previous years.
Yeah, so to answer my own question, right? I'm buying the hype also. I'm buying the hype. I'm buying in on it. And I'm buying in on it, like I would say aggressively, in the sense of the fact of I think it's going to turn out to where he's just number 2, period, right? Like what Osborne is there, right? They're number two wide receiver. I think he's going to surpass him. Jordan Addison is a talented player, right? And there's a difference between, how we felt about him as far as being wide receiver 1 versus him going to a really good situation and being really productive. And I think he fell right into that situation with, like you said, you explained all of the X's and O's portions of it, right? With, Justin Jefferson being there and rolling coverages to him, right? But then there's also the independent part of Jordan Addison was that, he can run routes. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like individually, that's what he excels at. And I expect too with this Kevin McConnell offense, right, is that them to put him in motion, give him free releases. And I think there's going to be a lot of times where he's wide open, right? And I would even go as far as this is how high I am on this combination, right? If they would have had Dalvin Cook, I would have thought this would be one of the better teams in the NFC. Like, and I'm talking about like top 3 seeds once again, but they don't have Dalvin Cook. And I am a guy that believes in balance because I think that it shows at some point. But this was kind of the type of player that they were missing last year, right? Like, because if people try to take away Justin Jefferson and he's successful at doing it, and, obviously a lot of people are not successful, but it takes one game in the playoff, right? You need to have a very viable backup option, and I think that's Jordan Addison. So I DP, if you ask me, I'm buying all the hype on this. I think he went to a great spot. I think it's a spot where he can be extremely productive. And I would, if we listen to Minnesota Vikings fans, but NFL fans, period, right? I think this is very similar to how you had the 1-2 punch, back in the day for the Minnesota Vikings of Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs, right? I think they've kind of they've managed to move on from both guys, right? They really good job of drafting Justin Jefferson, right? And then now you go and get a running mate. So now you on, younger guys, right? You didn't have to hold on to both of those guys way past their prime, and you're throwing overpaid contracts to them. You moved on to them in a proper way, but you still kept that 1-2 punch of wide receivers there with Justin Jefferson and with Jordan Addison.
Keith, when you brought up Adam Thielen, I had to Google his stats real quick, right? Because he's been wide receiver 2 since Justin Jefferson came in. Justin Jefferson's clipped 1,400 yards receiving since his rookie year. Like, you know what I mean? So right. Adam Thielen over the last, I would say, in 2020, after which I think was the first year Justin Jefferson stepped on the field, Adam Thielen, 74 catches, 925 yards, 14 touchdowns. And then, last year, 2021, as wide receiver 2, 67 receptions, 726 yards, 10 touchdowns. And in 2022, last season, and he's been battling some injuries, because he's getting up there in age. He's 32, 70 receptions, 716 yards, all of these seasons over 10 yards per catch, and he has 6 touchdowns. So what DB, what are you saying? What I'm saying is if I put, Jordan Addison, who's younger, faster, quicker, and healthier in that role, I absolutely, Keith, I'm going to say this. I could see 1,000-yard receiving season from this young receiver. Now that I think about it, I can see him hitting 1,000 yards. But
that's impressive. I thought I was being aggressive. I thought I was being aggressive. You went aggressive on it, man. But listen, I'll say this. I don't know 1,000. If I had to play it extremely safe, right, I'm going somewhere like around 890 yards, right, or right at 900 or something like that, man. But I agree, DP. I'm all in on it.
If Kirk trusts him, if he don't pigeonhole and bird dog,
and to Kirk Cousins' credit, right, which he doesn't get a lot of credit, but Kirk Cousins, he knows how to get the football to wide receivers, right? Like that's the thing. Like every wide receiver that plays with him, they don't have an issue with productivity. I'm sorry, I almost messed that word up. They don't have an issue with that. Like you never hear a wide receiver complaining like, man, I don't get enough touches. Kirk gonna throw you the football, right? You're gonna do numbers. It's just a matter of how far y'all gonna go in the playoffs and then quote unquote the prime time situation that's going on. But DP, I like talking about wide receivers, man, especially these young wide receivers. We're gonna take this thing back into the previous year, right? Not 2023, but 2022. And we're going to talk about probably one of the more polarizing names in that draft, and that is Treylon Burks. What is he doing for the Tennessee Titans, right? He has DeAndre Hopkins as a running mate now, a veteran. Will that help relieve some of the pressure? Is he wide receiver 1? Is he wide receiver 2? Is he wide receiver 3? What's going on with Treylon Burks in that situation? So we have our spotlight segment. We're going to give our deep dive into Treylon Burks and what we've been seeing, on Twitter and all the media stuff. And then also our connects, right? Shout out to, some of the people we talked to with the Tennessee Titans and what they're letting us know. So coming up next, we get into this Treylon Burks conversation and what could be his production for this upcoming NFL season.
Our partners at eBay Motors have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Football host Vinny Iyer to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week all season long. Whether you're prepping for a draft or scouting the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you players that are guaranteed to fit on your roster. So with draft prep underway for the up-and-coming season, let's see who Vinny has picked out for us on this week's eBay's Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the week. If you're looking for a second-year stud wide receiver who can drive your team to big points while he catches with a new starting quarterback, Garrett Wilson is a guaranteed fit with Aaron Rodgers. Get ready to build on his rookie promise with the Jets. Watch for Wilson to make big plays all over the field with his speed, quickness, and route running. Vinny Iyer from Locked On Fantasy Football is going to help you win your fantasy championship. And eBay Motors knows that a championship team is about each player being a perfect fit, same with your vehicle. With eBay Guaranteed Fit and over 122 million parts and accessories for your vehicle right at your fingertips, you can make sure that your ride stays running smoothly. Air filters, brakes, batteries, tail lights, alternators, shocks, struts, you name it, eBay Motors has it. And they'll make sure it's the right fit for your car, because eBay Guaranteed Fit helps you understand exactly what part you need for your vehicle the first time around. So go forth. Switch the gears, crank up the AC, and say goodbye to sweating if your ride needs a little fixing up, because now you know you'll always be set up for success from the get-go. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, everything your vehicle is calling for is just a click away. For the parts and accessories that fit your vehicle, just look for the green check. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices at ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Training camp spotlight, Keith. Treylon Burks, guy that was drafted first round and kind of put into a really bad spot because it was right after they traded away their top receiver and their best offensive player, even with Derrick Henry there and A.J. Brown. And they traded him to draft this young man to then fill his shoes as a rookie.
Keeping, like you said, a tough spot. You can't put the man in.
It was an impossible spot, truthfully. Like, it was impossible. And he battled some injuries in the season and everything, but the spotlight's on him now, Keith. And my take on this and my impact statement of sorts is, even with D-Hop there, Keith, still feed this young man as wide receiver 1. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. My reasoning behind it is because he's your future. D-Hop is what, 30, 31? Like, D-Hop is not a spring chicken no more. Like, D-Hop's not going to be there 5 to 7 years from now. Like, you got to get, because at the end of the day, what was the biggest knock on Treylon Burks, right? Like, we talked about him ad nauseum last draft cycle with TDN. And it was, okay, he was used as a big gadget receiver. A lot of motion, a lot of manufactured touches, a lot of free releases, different things like that, not running a wide variety of routes. Well, you kind of know how you fix that problem? Reps. Right? You give him meaningful reps, not just running routes to know that he's not getting the ball and Tannehill's trying to force it to D-Hop. I get that D-Hop is who D-Hop is and everything like that. But at the same time, for me, this young man is the future of your passing attack. This is the guy you need to get ready. D-Hop's going to do what D-Hop's going to do. But you need to get this kid up to speed. And I've seen some of the one-on-ones and stuff like that. And he looks more comfortable playing the wide receiver position right now. So for me, that's my impact statement, Keith, is that Treylon Burks should still be the top wide receiver in terms of target share, touches, and everything else for this Tennessee Titans offense.
Yeah, so Interesting impact statement, right? And I kind of have, I don't want to say a rebuttal, but I have a different angle, right? That I want to take with this. That I don't mind Treylon Burks being the number 2 right now to D Hop, because when he came out as a prospect, we did talk about developmental things, right? And you just talked about the gadget stuff that he participated in, release packages that he had to work on, and things like that, right? But when I look at this situation, so it's weird because when you think about number 2 wide receivers, right? Or anytime you talk about a guy being a number 1, and then you're talking about, oh, let me get him a running mate, they're usually smaller guys, right? You usually think about, let's say, throwback like the Demaryius Thomas, and then Emmanuel Sanders was the number 2, right? You think about things like that. But I think Treylon Burks is just a really big number 2 wide receiver. Now, don't mind that, DP, because here's the thing: if you just flush that part out, right, and you're just like, okay, cool, let's do some of the gadget stuff with him, right? Let D Hop be our traditional guy, and this is what I'm trying to lay the foundation for the Tennessee Titans, right? Let D Hop be our traditional wide receiver. He knows what he's doing, right? And then put Treylon Burks in those situations that you kind of a la put a Debo Samuel in, right? And we had those conversations about that when he was coming out, like, hey, what are you going to do with Treylon Burks? I do think that Treylon Burks can eventually, right, develop into a full-blown wide receiver one. He has the potential, but I think also if you're Tennessee Titans fans, right, if people playing, and then this fantasy football era, right, that they're going to look at straight production. What are you doing, right? So you have to do something, because if not, you know what you're going to start hearing, DP? You're going to start hearing the rumors of bust. Can he get the job done, right? And then now you're talking about potentially a young man with a broken confidence. And so I think that they have to figure it out. I like Treylon Burks, right, as a football player. We do know the developmental things, but I would be interested to see how they use these guys as complementary pieces, because Treylon Burks he's a big number 2. Like, it's crazy because they're usually smaller guys, but he's a big number 2.
No, he is a big number 2. I think that, and then also I think the spotlight, along with Treylon Burks, has to be on the offensive coordinator and the play call. Like, I get it, man. King Henry has been your guy for years among years now, and I understand it. All right, let's scrap this thing. All right, let's really. Now, don't get me wrong. Tannehill is not a.
I was about to ask you because you was about to jump. You was about to jump down. And I was like, okay.
I had to reel myself in, Keith. I had to reel myself back. So I was like, hold on, who's playing quarterback? Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill is a play action based quarterback, right? If you give him the numbers advantage in the secondary, single high, 8, 9 men in the box, you make it easy on him, right? But I think that's where I think for me, they have to lean onto that passing game a little more, where you could show the run game, but get the passing game going earlier in games where Tannehill can get in more of a rhythm. He's a veteran quarterback, right? He's seen it all, done it, and everything like that. Gotten you to the help you get. He's helped gotten them or lead them to the playoff along with Derrick Henry. But when it comes on to Burks, I think that's where his big impact is going to be off the play action, right? Because D Hop can make the contested catches and all that stuff. But that explosiveness or that resides with Big Burks, right? So you want to get that deep ball going, the post, the goal routes and stuff like that. And that's where, if you're getting those one-on-ones, you take that shot to this young man.
Yeah, and I think that's part of, I guess, and you hate saying number 2 conversation, but when you think about, when guys draft like the Will Fullers and, the conversation around Chris Olave and, think about John Mechie, you know what I'm saying? Like, just these vertical guys, like, and even guys in this past draft, right, that was drafted, and it was more so, okay, this is a guy that's going to push vertical. You know what I'm saying? And I think Treylon Burks, like we talked about, like, that's what he excels at. Like, you taking that deep shot with him, one-on-one, 50-50 balls for him, or 70-30, 80-20, right? And that's your deep shot guy. And then allow you let D-Hop work the underneath and, do things like that, the timing-based routes and stuff of that, I guess stuff of that character, right? And I agree with you.
Yeah.
If that's what they're going to do with Treylon Burks, man, I think he is definitely going to excel, and he should put up, pretty good numbers, which I'm pulling for him, right? Because that's a tough spot. The GM, the head coach don't necessarily get into it. The GM's gone. You're supposed to replace A.J. Brown. What we're doing with Derrick Henry, we trade him, we might trade him. And so a lot is put on your shoulders, and you have to figure some things out. So Treylon Burks is definitely in a situation. I'm glad he's a spotlight guy, because I think that's the exact, category for him, right? The spotlight's on you. Let's see what you do, and let's see how you turn this thing into productiveness, right? DP, talking about spotlight, right? I don't think the spotlight is any bigger than when you with the Dallas Cowboys, right? You either love them or hate them, right? Every single player on the Dallas Cowboys, you either love them or you hate them, and that's just how it is. But man, they have an impact player, and rookie defensive tackle Mazi Smith. And I want to get into this conversation, right? Because there have been some things circulating already on social media and, just about his potential impact for this defense. So I want to get into the Mazi Smith conversation. What do you think he can do? What does he need to do for this Dallas Cowboys defense? And what type of impact can he have to help propel this team, right, that hasn't went to an NFC championship in 25, 30 years. So let's get into that conversation of Mazi Smith and what he can mean for this defense.
Impact player, and there, like you said, there's no bigger spotlight than down in Dallas with the Dallas Cowboys, what they call America's team. Mazi Smith, Keith, big, physical, burly, aggressive. And you told me about a quote that you saw from one of his interviews at training camp, Keith. And when you said it to me, I was like, this is a different type of cat, Keith.
Yeah, and so the quote was I'm paraphrasing, but the phrase is not even that long, right? He said that I don't like football, I just like hitting people. That was the quote, right? I don't even like football. I just flat out like hitting people. And with that quote, DP, you know what? It depends, right? If it was some certain positions, right? I would be a little bit concerned, right? That was my quarterback saying that I'm a little concerned. If that was other positions, but my D tackle, that's exactly how I want you to feel, right? I want you to feel like, you know what? I just want to hit somebody. And I'll say this, we're talking about impact, right? Impact on the defense. This Dallas Cowboys defense is supposed to be, let's say that it's supposed to be one of the better defenses, right? They added Stephon Gilmore. We know Michael Parsons, right? Dexter Lawrence is still over there. Trayvon Diggs, right? So this is supposed to be one of the better defenses, like people are talking top 5, top 10. They've been good in the past, right? You know the one spot they're not good at? Defensive tackle. That was the one spot that they refused to address over the past couple of years, and it has bitten them, DP, every single year. Because I think the 49ers has they have bounced them 2 years in a row, right? Like they've kicked them out of the playoffs with below average quarterback play, but that's because they've been able to sustain a run. Now, Mazi Smith, you're talking about being big, bringing that physicality to this defense. I think he is a important player, and he needs to be an impact player. Like he needs to, for the Dallas Cowboys to be able to go as far as they want to, because I believe this, DP, that the 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles are still sitting right there, right? They're going to come in and they're going to try to run the football on the Dallas Cowboys once again. And if they want any opportunity to be able to make it to an NFC championship game, they better be prepared to stop the run. And it's with guys like Mazi Smith.
And when you talk about impact, Keith, and early downs, right? When you in your normal base sets and Mazi Smith is lined up at the 0 or the 1 tech on the center. If Michael Parsons is still playing off-ball backer, you probably have Sam Williams as one edge. Then you got DeMarcus Lawrence as the other, and you still got Leighton Vander Esch. He's a guy that can keep those two linebackers clean, so those dudes can free flow to the ball and make plays without those offensive linemen on the interior climbing up to that second level and picking them off in the run game. The clips that are circulating on Twitter, right? It's him versus the sled machine. I thought he almost broke it. I don't know if he broke it or not, but it showed like he did. Like you see that power, that physicality. Then there's a rep of him one-on-one with one of their guards, and in pass rush, and he's just driving them back, just long arm leg drive. It's just like it's effortless for him. But that's what. And the crazy thing about it is, I think that was one of the biggest things between him and like his other the Big Ten D tackle was Keanu Benton, who went to the Steelers. Was that Michigan used him more of as like a gap control defensive tackle. I think in this is it Gus Bradley? I think is a defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys, if I remember correctly. Dan Quinn. So with Dan Quinn's defense, I think he's going to be used more so. Hey, Mazi, get upfield, create some chaos, create some penetration, and surge. And I think if you do that, man, the impact could be insurmountable for this defense, because not only will your guys be able to, if he's taking 2 blockers, they can shoot gaps from the second level, things like that. But then think about having them on third downs as he continues to flash and grow as a pass rusher, and he has that third down type of value, Keith. Now you got Michael Parsons. You got I could envision Mazi and DeMarcus Lawrence on the inside with Big Sam Williams and Michael Parsons on the edge, where you got power, wingspan, athleticism, burst, all of that on the field at the same time. And that defensive front could be scary on 3rd and 12 in the fourth quarter.
I hear you, DP, getting into your defensive coordinator, coaching back. I know you're the running back guru. You're trying to look. DP
I'm a jack of all
he's putting
trades,
out
brother.
personnel groupings now, right? Like that. What you gonna call it? The DP package, baby. The DP package, man. But look, when we talk about impact, DP, I was thinking about something when you was talking, right? And I thought you mentioned Michael Parsons and the impact, right? And I'll go ahead and say that this is a relatively soft defense up front. Like, and that's just what it is. They have been. And against the run, they've been soft against the run. So when you talk about Michael Parsons brings that grittiness, that toughness, right? To where it's like you fear playing them, but he can't do it by himself, right? He can't be the sole enforcer. And you see it right now because they don't know where to put Michael Parsons. Like, man, do we want to rush him, or we need a linebacker too, or we need, you see what I'm saying? Like, so you have to have a dog at every position group, right? Now, Trayvon Diggs, Stephon Gilmore, I think they'll take care of that, right? Now you're talking about the linebacker play. Boom, Michael Parsons is there to take care of that. Now we need somebody in that interior defensive line, one of them big 300-pound plus guys that just have straight like toughness in them, right? That has tenacity, that I just want to take your lunch money every single day, every single rep, right? And I think that's Mazi Smith. So I'll say this, that it's not only just a play impact, it's a mentality impact, right? Like we can't look at the Dallas Cowboys and it's clean cut, it's blue, it's silver, right? It's America's team, it's fancy, right? Sometimes you like it's the, and I hope neither one of these car companies come at it, right? But you're talking about like the Rolls Royce, like it's cool, it's nice, right? But sometimes you need the muscle, you need the challenger, right? Sometimes I need the challenger to come in there, growling with the V8 horsepower and everything. And that's what the Dallas Cowboys need. Sometimes it's just too clean cut. We went to Frisco, DP. It is very nice. It is really nice out there. And what are some of the things that people say, right? Like, oh, it's not blue collar enough, right? It's too nice. It's too smooth. And I think Mazi Smith is one of those guys that they've been able to draft. That thing, he comes in there and he brings some toughness to this situation.
And I'm gonna throw some numbers to close this out, Keith. When you talk about them being soft, they were like in the top 15. They were like bottom 15, almost bottom 10 in rush defense last year. Almost 2,200 yards rush yards allowed, 4.4 yards per carry, 9 rushing touchdowns on the season, 24% of opposing teams' rush attempts or rushes went for first downs. So yes, 100%, they need to fix that, Keith. They were one of those bottom tier teams in terms of the run defense. And you talk about impact. Mazi Smith, big, strong, physical, country fed. That young man is going to absolutely impact the run game. If nothing else, he's going to help them kind of slow down opposing rushing attacks.
I agree with DP. I'll tell you this, man. I had fun with that show, right? I felt good about that one, man. We talked about Jordan Addison. We're fully committed, right? We can say we're committed to the Jordan Addison hype train right now, man. Treylon Burks, spotlight is on him, right? I would love to see what that offensive coordinator does with Treylon Burks. And Treylon Burks put the numbers up, baby. But to now, it's been a relatively good camp compared to last camp when he was running out of breath and, they were saying that he was out of shape. Yeah. So Treylon Burks, man, definitely arrow pointing up. And Mazi Smith, show up and show out, baby. You with the Dallas Cowboys right now. You with America's team. You have to make an impact. You, Michael Parsons, y'all have to move this thing forward for the Dallas Cowboys. But that wraps up today's show, DP. Once again, want to shout out to our everydayers, man. Look, if we say something controversial, man, tweet at us. If you don't like it, let us know. If you like it, tell us you love it, man. And we're going to keep this thing going, man. We are getting closer and closer to week 1 of the NFL season.
Listen, go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Continue to tap in with us. Thank y'all for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day, Monday through Friday, being the family, but our everydayers. Go hit the subscribe button, like, comment, as well as hit the bell notification so you're notified whenever we drop new episodes, YouTube shorts, short clips, whatever we drop on this channel. Hit the bell notification so you're notified. In terms of Twitter, you can find and follow Keith Sanchez at The Talent Code. Me, Damian Parson, DP_NFL. Talk to us because we do talk back on tomorrow's show. Listen, we're getting close. It's week 1 of preseason. So we're going to have some preseason stuff for you, keeping the spotlight on some guys, stuff like that. So we have more and more football discussions coming up tomorrow. Guys, come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.